Hey everyone, Emily Jackson here from Great Family Adventure, and we are hanging out here in our Big Agnes bunkhouse. We recently just got a new tent from Big Agnes. It's the 6-person bunkhouse. Now, I know we're a family of 4, but Nick and I have always felt that getting a tent that's about 2 people more, so if we're 4, get a tent for 6. For the type of camping that we do, we really appreciate the space, so I like to bring a lot of stuff. The kids like to play in the tent, so we've always gone a little bit bigger. It is absolutely massive, and one of the coolest things is it has a lot of height. So my head, obviously I'm pretty short, but we had a friend of ours that actually slept over because we had the extra space. He's over 6 feet tall, and he found that one thing that's really nice about this tent is that he could totally stand up in it and feel comfortable. Definitely one of the cool things about this tent is just the simple space. So it feels very airy, feels very nice. It has openings on both sides, which I've always liked because sometimes you're pitching the tent and you're like, okay, where's the best view? But also airflow. So for us, just being able to open it up, have this extra air is really nice. There is over, I think, like 20 mesh panel pockets in this tent alone. So if you need a spot for your toothbrushes, need a spot for your socks. I always love bringing socks on my camping trips, keep my feet, nice and cozy when we're camping is one thing I always bring with me. But all the panels really allow you to keep your stuff semi-organized. We all know when you're camping, that's not really what you're thinking about too much. But for me, I do appreciate having the extra mesh panels for organizing my stuff, or at least knowing where some of the stuff is that I might need, particularly in the middle of the night. So the headlamp is a big one. On top of that, one of the other features that I really like is they have these little loops for hanging. For us, what we do is we actually string our light from those 2 little loops. So it allows us to string up our lights last night. And it was just really nice that these little loops are here. Another thing you could do for me is sometimes I bring like a carabiner or something else to hang up my bathing suit. Usually once it's already like semi-dry, but mornings can be dewy and sometimes you don't want to put a wet bathing suit on in the morning. So what I'll do is I'll let my bathing suit air dry for part of the day, then bring it in and hang it up using some of these different loops. If you look, a lot of the corners have them. So there's one right here, there's one in all 4 corners, and then 2, 3 actually. Main one's on the top. So lots of little loops. Helps if you bring a carabiner or something like that to hook things onto. Like I said, today we use it for our lights, which is super nice. Another thing that's really nice is that it's 2 paneled. So we have the outside tarp and then we have the mesh panel on the inside. Now, Nick and I have gone back and forth. We've had some tents that are just simply 1 shell overall, but I'm not a big fan of when you're touching the side of the tent and it's really dewy. And so we've found that having a 2-panel tent is really nice because then you have this mesh liner on the inside that's keeping you separate from the outside and waterproof liner. The other thing that's really nice about that is if it's really hot out, what we'll do is we'll actually set up our tent and we'll leave the tarp off. So there's airflow, not to mention you can see, so you can like stargaze, you can just enjoy being outside. And then right before bed, we throw the tarp over top. So that's usually what we do. We tend to always sleep with the tarp because we don't like waking up to either being overly dewy or if there's rain or anything like that in the forecast. It's just better to be prepared. I feel like anytime I don't put the tarp up means we're probably going to get rained on. So anytime I put the tarp off, we're safe. So it's just a habit at this point. The other thing that's nice is right now I have them all pulled back, but this panel actually goes out further beyond the opening of the tent. And I really loved any tent that has that. The reason being is storage is a place to put things. Maybe there's something you don't want to put all the way into the tent, shoes or stuff that's wet or damp or anything like that. And it's just a nice place for storage that allows you to have your stuff sheltered and kind of tucked into the tent, but not all the way into the tent where you're sleeping. So when you're looking for a tent, definitely think about, how are you going to use it? What are some of your frustrations with tents? What are some of the things that you think would really help you? And so for me, having this extra storage space For example, my son, he's 10. He like never wears socks with his shoes, and his shoes just reek. But I do not want him to put his shoes all the way inside because I have really sensitive sense of smell. But at the same time, he doesn't want them outside because he doesn't want them to get wet. So that's why areas like this are really beneficial for everyone. So definitely right now I have it pulled back. Kind of nice. I have it all the way pulled back here. And this one I only have partially pulled back. Maybe I didn't even, it's just looped up at the top. There's actually multiple toggle points. So like if I only want it halfway, I can roll it up halfway and toggle it there instead of going all the way. So it has some different options on how far back you want to pull the cover. Right now I have them all the way open so that way it's a little lighter in here, and because it's getting warm, so the airflow is really nice. Other things to think about when it comes to your tent is where is your tent made, how is it built, things like that. So for us, many tents are made overseas, and that's pretty standard, but at the same time, some companies are a lot better when it comes to sustainability practices versus others. So I highly recommend looking for a tent that falls in line with your core values. So for me, all tents are not created equal. You know, I'm a firm advocate in trying to be as sustainable as possible, which is one of the reasons that we decided to go ahead and invest into Big Agnes when it comes to our camping equipment, because a lot of the work they're doing is using good sustainability practices. But on top of that, they're very conscious and they're making efforts to continue to grow and improve their environmentalism and sustainability. So whatever is important to you, make sure you do research on that and then figure out which company falls in line with your core values, because where you spend your money really does have a big impact on continuing efforts in different areas around the world. So for us, you know, we love the outdoors. We're out here camping in Idaho, and in order to protect these places and continue to appreciate them, we do have to make environmentally conscious decisions. So another part with that is to make sure that for us, when we're investing into any product, is to make sure that we have a product that we feel is going to last us a long time. So a tent's a big purchase. It's not something you're buying every year. It's not something you're buying every other year. It's something you're going to hold on to for a period of time, and you want to make sure that you're making the right call. Buying a cheap tent every single year is not always the best practice. Some people do it, and if it means you're getting outside, that's great. And if that's what you need to do, it's totally understood. But I believe that making a bigger financial choice to buy a tent that I know is sustainable and on top of it going to last me a long time. So Big Agnes has a really good customer service team and a really good warranty team. And if there's anything wrong, they're going to help you fix it. So not all companies are like that. It's a small company based out in Colorado, really mom and pop feel to it. So definitely think about that when you're determining, you know, where amongst the spectrum of spending where you're going to get your tent. So let's check out the outside of this baby real quick. All right, so look at the size of this thing. It is a big tent. Like I said, it's really nice and tall. It really makes it feel airy in there, spacious. The cool thing about this whole tent is it only weighs 19 pounds. And on top of that, you're probably thinking that it packs into this big, massive thing, but it packs down quite small. And on top of that, it also has a really unique bag for carrying it, and it has backpack straps. So often when you're unloading and trying to set up camp, it's actually really nice because I could even have my son throw this on his back like a backpack and carry it down to our campsite for us. So this tent, even though it's a pretty big tent, I mean, it's a solid size, it does get down really small. Like I said, only 19 pounds, so that's just awesome. All right, well, the one other product that I really want to share with you guys that I found really awesome was the kids' sleeping bags. So check it out. We've got 2 sleeping bags here from Big Agnes. These ones are both my kids' sleeping bags, and they make them in different lengths and sizes because kids grow. Both Parker and Tucker have different ones. So Tucker is the one they call the Torchlight Youth, and then Parker has one called the Wolverine. Both of them go down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 7 degrees Celsius. So they're pretty warm sleeping bags. But at the same time, sometimes the length and the coziness of the sleeping bag, how it fits them, can really impact how the kids like their bags. So one thing that I found really cool about these sleeping bags is that they have this pocket on the back. So if you're wondering what this pocket is for, it's for actually sliding the mattress into the inside. So here we've got the Big Agnes divider. These are the mattresses that we use, and they slide right into the back of the sleeping bag. Now for me, this is a new to me thing. This is the first time I've ever camped with this, and it's actually game changer. Kids are always sliding around when it comes to camping. You know, they always end up like in a corner, shoved down, like where the toothbrushes are, just like shoved into a corner. And this really changes that. It kind of keeps them in place, because instead of them sliding on the top of the mattress is now attached to the bag. So all I did was take the divider, their air mattress, and then I slid it into this pocket. And now the cool part is, if you look at the way they built the material, it still has room for your head. So it goes all the way up to where the head is at the top of the mattress. Now all I do is I flip this baby over, and the sleeping bag, the main part of where your back is attached. So if you look right here from a side profile, it's this nice little sleeve with the sleeping bag on top. Not only was this the first time that I've ever used it for my children, but Nick and I invested into a 2-person sleeping bag and a 2-person mattress, because why not? And the same thing, it also comes with this little pocket on the back to slide in the mattress. And so for us yesterday, same thing. For the first time ever, we weren't like slip sliding around, because finding a perfectly level campsite is like near impossible. Like, you're always going to end up somewhere, but this really kept us from moving at all. So last night was my first time doing this, and I have to say it was really nice to wake up and not have us all smushed on top of each other somehow. So definitely highly recommend checking out the divider air mattresses with the sleeping bags attached to the top, because it will really keep you center on top of the bed. So each one of these products definitely comes with a lot of cool and unique features. Another one that I learned about, again, new things for me. It's been a while since we've invested into camping gear, so this has been kind of a big deal, just seeing how far some of this stuff has come and how much easier and how much I've thought about what are some issues that we run into and how are we going to alleviate it. So check this out. The sleeping bag, I was like, why does it have these little random hooks on the top? Like, what are they for? Now, I noticed that this one's only on the Torchlight. We don't have it on the Wolverine. But so these little hooks, if we look here, are actually so I can roll the sleeping bag up. And if you look, there's little hooks on the back. See these hooks on the back? So what I'm going to do, so what I can actually do is I can actually roll this up and hook it. So these hooks allow me to roll the bottom of the sleeping bag up, so that way it's not too long for the kids. They're not sliding down into it, and they can be a little bit warmer because it's a little more compact for them. So for my daughter Parker, who's pretty little, for her and her legs, you know, it's really important that she's not sliding deep into the sleeping bag. She likes to keep her head up, you know, kind of where the face pocket area is. And this really allows the kids to do that, because it really does alleviate them sliding deeper into the bag. So there's 3 different loops, I think. Yep. I think there's 3 different loops, so the kids can kind of decide as they continue to grow, we can unhook and go to the next one. So we're checking out the King Solomon sleeping bag. I highly recommend getting the sleeping bag with their camp mattress. And the reason being is because this setup works really well. It has the same unique feature as the kids' sleeping bag, where you can actually slide the mattress into the back of the sleeping bag, and this allows Nick and I to not roll off the mattress. We all know we have those moments with our significant other where we're pushing each other off the mattress, or like you push me off, or I slid off, or so forth. So this kind of alleviates that potential argument between you and your spouse after camping, because there's nowhere to really go. It's really hard to slide off, right? You're just on here and you're going to stay on it because it's actually attached to the bag itself, and then you're contained within the bag. So the King Solomon sleeping bag goes down to about 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Now for me, I don't need a warmer sleeping bag because it's that cold. I'm probably not going camping. Although being out here in the mountains, I will have to say daytimes can be like 80 and nighttime can be a little cooler. But even last night with Nick and I both in this bag, we were quite warm. So definitely no reason to worry about the temperature of that bag unless you're planning on doing some colder camping. And if so, good for you. That's not what I need because I like to camp when it's warm outside. If you're using the King Solomon sleeping bag and you've got the mattress underneath, check out the side of the thing. There is straps here to tighten. So if you look, the sleeping bag, the edges wrap around, but if you want to tighten it to ensure that it really doesn't slide around, you just pull on this and tighten the toggles, and that's going to allow the sleeping bag to be pretty secure. Now, like I said, they gave extra fabric here, so it's not pulling your head all the way up over the rim. It's actually putting it just in the right spot, so that way your head can go right where it needs to go. Another cool feature about the King Solomon sleeping bag, it has these little snaps. These snaps allow you to keep the sleeping bag shut. So for me, I'm pretty anal when it comes to my children not being in and out of my sleeping bag because sandy, dirty feet, something about sand in the sleeping bag just doesn't do it for me. So we appreciate the little toggles here because it means that I can shut the sleeping bag to keep things out. And look how beautiful this nice big bed is. Look at that thing. Doesn't feel like camping when it's this luxurious. It feels quite good. And my body feels fantastic. So awesome setup and definitely really excited to use it again. I'm packing up the sleeping bag. Now you're probably thinking, okay, a two-person sleeping bag is going to take up a lot of room. But because it's a 35 degree and it's pretty light, it actually packs down really small. So let's see just how small it's going to pack up. Ta-da! I would say that is a pretty normal sleeping bag size. So it's not too big, not too small, and it's super light. So easy peasy. Camp mattresses come with these days that a lot of people haven't used. Even Nick yesterday was like, okay, how do I use this thing? I've never used it before. And you'll notice that a lot of them come with this bag. What is this bag? What is it for? And maybe everyone's just way smarter than we are, but I always, took a lot of pride in my ability to blow up air mattresses because, I have strong lungs and I can definitely blow them up, no problem, but it's exhausting and sometimes you get a little lightheaded, which is not ideal for everyone. Blowing up air mattresses can be taxing and take time when you would much rather be out enjoying the camping experience with your family. So luckily, they start coming with these bags. Now, these bags have just a wide open, it's just wide open on this side, and then it has a valve on this side. And so what you do is you actually put this and attach it. It snaps on to where you'd be blowing into the air mattress. Then what you do is you allow air to come into the bag, and it's not like you don't wave it around. If you just open it fully, the wider open you make it, the more air that's going to get inside. You pinch the top and you just roll it down. And the amount of air inside of that is what you're blowing in. So one fill is like, probably 10 breaths or more that you would have been putting into the air mattress yourself if you were trying to blow it up by mouth. So I highly recommend trying one of these or just utilizing this thing because it saves you a lot of energy, it saves you a lot of time, and you're not going to lose your breath because you don't have to blow it up yourself. You just use these awesome little baggies and your air mattresses will be blown up quite quick. Nick and I were really appreciative of having this last night because it ended up being really late. This is a last-minute camping trip, literally about 15 minutes before we had to go somewhere. We were like, do you want to just go camping tonight? I said, yes, let's go. So it ended up being really late when we got into the point of setting up our air mattresses within the tent. And so we were both pretty tired, and the double air mattress, we were both like, okay, here we go. Let's take turns. Use this thing, and it took very little time, very little effort. Definitely look into investing in one where one of these can be used with it. So I'll go ahead and show you how it's done because it, like I said, it took Nick a second, took both of us a second to fully figure out how to utilize it the most efficient way. So check it out. So here we've got our rapid sleeping pad. So here you'll notice that it has the two vents. One's an intake, one's an out. So on the in, well, let's let some air out so I can show you. Let's out pretty fast. All right. The reason I do that is because it makes it that much faster. It's just simple. You open it, it lets out. Now the intake has a different valve, so you're not losing air while you're trying to blow it up. So the one that says in is the one you open up. And then on your little baggie, there's this. You want to open that up. And these snap into each other. So watch. Simply snapped in. I got my bag snapped in the mattress now. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to blow this up by one. You just Get the bag as open as you can, shut it, and then I like to do the roll technique. I didn't do a very good job. There we go. Look how full that one is. See? Now I'm going to keep rolling, and it's going to blow the mattress up. It takes a little bit to figure out the habit of like making sure that you get the bag pretty full. So there's some different techniques for it. I think I give it one little blow on the inside. Now look at this one. Look how full that is. That's a lot of breath, and all I have to do is push. And it's filling up the air mattress. So pretty cool, pretty simple. Keep rolling. It's pretty well attached, so you can tug on it a little bit, and it's not just going to pop out. The other nice thing is if it did pop out, which actually I'm having trouble getting this one out because it snaps in really well, is that because it's the intake valve, you're not going to be like leaking a bunch of air out. Definitely highly recommend utilizing those bags because no one likes to be lightheaded right before they're getting ready for beds. Another camping trick that I always do is when we're getting ready to start the day, I go ahead and I unplug all of the valves for the camping pad. So that way, when we're getting ready to pack it up, I don't have to wait for it to deflate. So when we get up in the morning and we go have breakfast, usually what I'll do once everyone's out of the tent is I'll just pop open all the valves and let things kind of naturally deflate while we're eating breakfast. So when I come back, I can start the rolling and folding process. Once you kind of let it deflate for a minute, another trick is to always make sure that when you're folding or rolling them, that you always go towards the valve. If you pull the valve over in the beginning and air can't get through, you're going to be dealing with air bubbles the whole way through, and it's really hard to pack it down really compact. So what I like to do is always make sure that I locate the valve, point it away from me, and then go ahead and start my folding or rolling process. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to flip this thing over, and now I'm going to start rolling. And there we go.